Welcome back to the Kyle Olson Show. All eyes are on Georgia with the two Senate runoff elections taking place on January 5th. Joining me now is Congresswoman-elect Marjorie Taylor Greene, who will represent Georgia's 14th district beginning next week. First of all, congratulations on your election.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Kyle. I'm glad to be here.
So tell me about the importance of the Senate elections next week.
Oh, the Senate elections are extremely important. It's literally holding the line between freedom and socialism. Our Senate seats are under attack, incredibly, by socialist Democrats. These are Democrats that want to pack the courts, get rid of the filibuster, add more states to our republic. These are two candidates that Raphael Warnock is a pastor who preaches abortion from the pulpit of his church, which is appalling and absolutely evil. And then you've got John Ossoff, who is just as radical as the Squad, no different than AOC, Ilhan Omar, and those radical members in the House. They do not represent Georgia values. They do not represent the people of Georgia, and that's why we have to turn out the vote and make sure that we hold the line and stop these two Senate seats from being handed over to these two socialists.
Now, in the last couple of weeks, Joe Biden has been there. Obviously, Stacey Abrams, I think, is playing a large role in the upcoming election, and they seem very confident. What are you seeing on the ground, and how do you think things are going to go?
Well, Stacey Abrams has perfected her game. She ran for governor in 2018, and she nearly won. And she was able to do that with a huge voter registration drive and a heavy ground game, door knocking and turning out the Democrat vote in Georgia. 2020, she took it to a whole new level where she completely took advantage of the huge absentee mail-in voting, which our Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, should have never allowed to happen. Here in Georgia, we've been open. We were open most of 2020 when people are able to go to the grocery store, people are able to go to Home Depot, Walmart, people are able to go out and about. They can also go and vote. So there was no reason for Brad Raffensperger to allow that. And Stacey Abrams, she just took the same machine she put in place when she was running for governor, and she put it into play, registering people and getting people to request these absentee ballots, which everyone knows opens up a huge door to voter fraud. And that's what's happened in Georgia. It happened in the general election, and we're afraid it's going to happen again for these Senate runoffs. Joe Biden, who supposedly has been elected as president, was able to do so from the basement. He's come to Georgia a little bit, but it's shocking. Our Republican voters are really going to have to turn out, and we're encouraging everyone to do that, as well as to be poll watchers, as well as to volunteer in any way possible, making sure that our elections are safe.
Are you seeing the same energy as you saw in the November election for Republicans?
No, in Georgia I'm not, and I have been screaming this, trying to declare a warning. There is a large portion of Republican voters who are upset and angry. They feel like their votes have been stolen. They feel like we know the president won Georgia. I've been saying this over and over. The president won Georgia, and people are angry, and they don't want to go vote. They don't trust our election, and they want our state leaders to get it right and fight for the president and fight for their vote, because it's their vote. And unfortunately, a lot of them are staying home, and it's really frustrating. You can't blame them. They're upset and they're angry. But at the same time, we cannot hand over our Senate seats to Democrats. We just can't do that. And so it's quite a problem. But no, there's not excitement to go out and vote. But everyone is working as hard as possible to try to get people engaged and try to get people to go to the polls. Hopefully we'll see them show up on Election Day, and that's what we're really hoping for.
Now, the following day, the House and Senate convene to receive the Electoral College votes. You have said that you plan to object. Tell me about that.
Absolutely, I plan to object. I tell you what, I spent a lot of time reading and looking at everything, and it got to the point where I wasn't sure what was true and what wasn't true, and I really felt like I needed concrete evidence, and I had been speaking to other members of Congress, and I said, we really have to have concrete evidence. We can't just go on what we're seeing shared on social media or on the internet here and there. And there's so many people that have come forward and signed affidavits, witnesses. They're signing these at the risk of perjury. There's so much information. People that have analyzed, the voting systems. They found these huge ballot drops. There's just so much information out there. So what I did is I called the president, and I called him and spoke with President Trump, and I said, I really want to meet with you. I'd like to meet with your legal team. I'd like to meet with your staff. I'd like to meet with anyone that has legitimate evidence of voter fraud, and I'd like to bring a group of people with me because we feel it's very important to get as many facts together as we can, because if this election is stolen, then we're objecting on January 6th. We refuse to certify a stolen election. We can't do that in good moral conscience. We can't do that. And as members of Congress, it's our duty to protect our integrity of our elections. And so President Trump was very happy for us to come. We arranged a meeting. We went there and spent, close to 4 hours at the White House analyzing so much information, meeting with many people. And I walked away from the White House that day convinced that what I knew was true in my gut, because I've lived in Georgia my entire life, and I've never seen so much excitement and support for a candidate as people have shown for President Trump. And that's what I knew in my gut, is there's no way Joe Biden won Georgia. I was all over the state leading up to November 3rd. It's impossible Joe Biden won Georgia. And after seeing all the evidence produced for 6 states and even several more that we're still looking at, we're objecting January 6th. We have to. And what I'm hoping to see, and I'm making calls every day, talking to so many people, is leading into January 6th, if our 2 Georgia senators, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, if they will say, declare that they're objecting also on January 6th, it gives our Republican voters who are upset and feel like their votes have been stolen and that are angry for President Trump, it gives them a reason to show up at the polls and vote for our senators. Because if they go out and vote for them on January 5th, then we'll have Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue in the Senate there to help us object on January 6th.
So you mentioned Loeffler and Perdue. Are there any senators that you've talked to who also plan to object? Yes, there are. I cannot say their names because
sure. I promised them I wouldn't, and they'll be going public soon. But yes, we have a real objection. The Democrats, they objected. Some of them objected in 2016, but they didn't have a senator. But we do have a senator and a group forming, so there's very likely to be more than one. And that's the key to this. In order for it to be a legal, real objection, you have to have at least one member from the House and at least one senator, and we definitely have that.
So are you anticipating, because my understanding of the process is that, say, Michigan, for example, their votes would come up and then a representative and a senator would, object. Are you anticipating there will be several objections to several states? Is the group sort of focusing on one state? How do you anticipate that will go?
We're focused heavily on 6 states, and how it will work is we have been meeting steadily, talking steadily, researching steadily, gathering all the information together. And how it will work is it won't just be one objection, it will be many. We'll be sponsoring and co-sponsoring all of our objections together. And so as each state comes up one at a time, the states that we'll be objecting to, we will object at that time to that state. And how it works is once we get through all the states, the House and the Senate will separate. And there will be 2 hours of debate per state. And so from what we understand, this will be a very long process,
Right.
Well, 12 hours or actually more because, 6 states, 2 hours of debate. But when you add in, procedure and extra time there that it takes, it's going to be a long time. One I very much look forward to, and is I believe it is critical. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. I seriously think that every member of Congress has to look at this as our integrity of our elections. We cannot go the way of third world countries whose elections are stolen and complete fraud. This shouldn't happen in America. And when the proof is there and the evidence is there, and we're able to show it on January 6th, I think in good. I just don't think anybody can vote to certify this election, whether they like it or not. They really should not vote to certify.
Well, next week will be a monumental week. So the Congress and you are sworn in on Sunday, January 3rd, and then the Senate runoff elections are Tuesday the 5th, and then the electors are, this whole process that you've been talking about takes place on Wednesday the 6th. So it's going to be a big week. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but Congresswoman-elect Marjorie Taylor Greene, thanks for joining me today.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Kyle.
This is the Kyle Olson Show. We'll be right back.